So today, we got a sand battle on our hands with Clayface, which is Sandman. Now these two might have the most similar power sets that I've ever seen, so it's gonna be one interesting showdown. Let's get started. Basil Carlo was an actor who, upon discovering that a remake of one of his classic horror movies was being made, went insane and began killing the cast and crew, wearing the mask of the film's villain, Clayface, until he was stopped by Batman. Initially having no powers, Carlo joined with a group of other Clayfaces and stole their combined powers, allowing him to shapeshift into any form he wants. Now, besides shapeshifting, Clayface's body composition grants him superhuman strength, and he's strong enough to throw the Batmobile, break through meters of asphalt and concrete, and smash a reinforced SWAT truck. He's also extremely durable, and nearly all physical attacks are completely useless against Clayface, because, well, his body's made out of clay. He's able to increase his size to where he fills a room or grow to the size of a 4-story building, can stretch his body to superhuman lengths, or on the reverse end, can shrink down to where he fits through a drain pipe or through the crack in a vault door. Clayface can also morph his body and can create weapons out of limbs in order to attack enemies. He's been able to grow large spikes in order to impale people, create maces, axes, or hammers, grow extra arms, and divide themselves into different pieces in order to escape a net or slide through a grate. Clayface also loves to suffocate his enemies by trapping them inside himself, reaching out and filling up their lungs, and can even throw mud and command it to suffocate someone while he is focused on fighting other opponents. Clayface has recently shown that his shapeshifting powers have evolved to where he doesn't just take on the appearance of someone, but actually becomes that person down to the very DNA. He's even shown that he's able to copy the powers and abilities of other people now because he can mimic their DNA. He can create multiple copies of himself, although he can only hold it for a couple of hours if they're spread out over a large distance. He's also proven that he is no longer really affected by his old weaknesses of things like solvent, coolant, or electrical charges, and now the only way to really defeat him is to contain him. And then in the other corner of it, Sandman. Former enemy of Spider-Man in the Fantastic Four, Flint Marker reformed after realizing he was unhappy with his life. He joined the Avengers, and later Silver Sable's Wild Pack, but Sandman eventually returned to crime after being brainwashed by the Wizard, but sometimes still displays desires to better himself. Because of an accidental radiation blast, Flint's organic body was fused with sand, and he's now made entirely out of sand. Sandman's spirit or astral form holds his entire body's structure together, and is forever bonded with the sand and can't be separated, regardless of how far his body is scattered. In fact, Sandman can actually quickly reform himself back together again, regardless of how far it's been dispersed. He also possesses incredible strength, and can increase his strength by intaking more and more sand, and there's really no known limit to how strong Sandman can get, or how big his body can grow. Sandman can control every single sand particle that makes up his body, and this allows him to travel very quickly, grow taller, or even basically throw his body against opponents. Sandman is able to transform his body into any object that he wants. He can turn his hands into weapons like mallets, clubs, maces, and it can even transform his entire body into complex machinery, objects, and even turn himself into people or animals. However, none of these forms really give him additional powers or abilities, and they're all made entirely out of sand. Now, even though Sandman is powerful, he does have his fair share of weaknesses. For starters, because his body isn't made entirely out of sand, he's very susceptible to things like water or fire. Flint's body easily absorbs water, and this causes him to lose control of his physique. Then with fire, his entire body will turn into glass, which makes him immobile. Then throughout the years, it's been shown that Sandman still retains elements of his human physiology, where he still eats, grows tired, and can feel pain. There was even a time where Sandman was diagnosed with cancer, and I have absolutely no idea how that works. Like, that really makes no sense to me. But I guess if I'm willing to believe that a man can become a sentient sand being, then I can also believe that the sand can get cancer. But the real question isn't how he got cancer, it's who wins. Well, let's break it down. Now, what's difficult about these two is their powers are so similar, and they can basically do the same thing with just slightly different variations. In fact, as I was researching this fight, I decided to look at if anybody else had made this video or talked about the fight, and I didn't really see a clear consensus on who would win. Some people said Clayface, others said Sandman, and some of the reasoning was honestly stupid. But I'll give them a break because this is a difficult fight after all. But I think I've got a definitive answer on who wins this showdown, so let's talk about it. Now, these two are probably physical equals in terms of strength, as Sandman has been shown to battle against Thor and Hulk at the height of his powers, and Clayface has been able to go up against Gotham Girl, who's on par with Superman and even defeated Bizarro. Then they can both morph and shift their bodies to grow to the size of buildings or shrink down to minuscule levels, so they're equals on that front. They can also both create weapons out of their limbs, but neither of them are really going to be affected by the other's weapons, so that's a draw too. Clayface likes to use the tactic of suffocating enemies, but that won't matter to Sandman because he doesn't need to breathe. But let's say that Clayface tried to absorb Sandman into his body and suffocate him. What happens then? Well, I don't really see their bodies as being incompatible, like when Sandman and Hydro Man merged and formed some giant clay monster. Sand and clay are similar enough to where I wouldn't imagine something like that would happening, and I'm pretty sure they would both keep hold of their bodies. While inside Clayface, Sandman could grow larger and try to destroy him from the inside out, but Clayface has shown that he's able to separate and then reform his body, so nothing is going to come of that. Thanks to his new upgrade in power, Clayface has better shape-shifting powers, but I don't really see this having a large impact on the battle, because there wouldn't be anybody noteworthy around for him to absorb their powers, except for Sandman, and that'd be pointless. I don't even know if Sandman has DNA for Clayface to copy. I guess he could copy the DNA of a nearby pedestrian and escape into the crowd, but Clayface isn't the type of guy to do that. He's not going to be running from this fight. So looking all this over, the fight seems to be fairly evenly matched. But there's one thing we haven't discussed, and it's incredibly important. In fact, this is what's going to give Clayface the victory. I'm talking about durability. Clayface has much better durability than Sandman does, and doesn't have as many weaknesses as Flint Marko. Now both these guys have a weakness to water, so neither would utilize this against the other because it would take them out of the fight as well. But with Sandman, well, for starters, he's able to feel pain. I'm not saying that Clayface will be able to unleash enough pain to knock Sandman out, but it's never a good thing if you can feel pain and your opponent feels nothing at all. Then with electricity, Sandman has trouble keeping his form when hit with electrical attack, while Clayface has recently been upgraded to where he's no longer really bothered with electrical charges. Then we have fire, which is one of Sandman's greatest weaknesses. It turns him into glass, and it just completely immobilizes him. On the other hand, Clayface has been able to withstand Superman's heat vision, an explosion that leveled a city block, Etrigan's demon fire, and the heat from her entry into the atmosphere. This greater durability gives Clayface a clear advantage in this fight, and the inevitable victory. Because look, water excluded, Clayface cannot really be physically hurt. Sandman, however, can still be taken out by fire and electricity. So while this fight will be a long one, and they'll be evenly matched for a while, those weaknesses will eventually factor in some way and ensure Clayface the victory. But what do y'all think? I would love to hear your thoughts, so sound off in the comments down below. Also, be sure to hit the subscribe button for videos just like this one every single week.